Hunger Games is more well known to Americans, but you can make an argument that if there was no Battle Royale, there would be no Hunger Games. And you could go back even farther, and you could say if there was no Long Walk, there would be no Battle Royale, or it would be different, because Koushun Takami, the author of Battle Royale, does give props to Stephen King's Long Walk for influencing his novel. Suzanne Collins, on the other side, she does not acknowledge Battle Royale as having any influence on her novel. Popular opinion and significant similarities begs to differ. You'll just have to read them both and make up your own mind. But either way, if she was influenced by this novel, or this novel being influenced by The Long Walk, you're not like, oh, I like this less because he didn't come up with this all by himself. Artists for millennia have been looking to other artists and their works for inspiration and influence. Authors, musicians, poets, sculptors, architects, all these guys, and even crossing different types of art, they look to influence. And it's okay, as long as you're not plagiarizing word by word or totally copying. I think it's very rare you come across something that's totally original and new. You know what they say, imitation is the best form of flattery, and everything old is new again. Guys, this is Whiskey and Literature. I am Captain Mike, and I do whiskey and book reviews, and today it is a review of Koushun Takami's Battle Royale. Koushun Takami, he is a Japanese author and journalist born in 1969. He is most well known for Battle Royale. He hasn't done or published any works since he published this work in the mid to late 90s. And really, why would he follow a work like this? It is a seminal book. It defines a genre. You could go back to The Long Walk, which was published 20 years prior to the publication of Battle Royale. And you could say this novel is a Battle Royale style novel. And despite her objections to the different, you could say Hunger Games is definitely a Battle Royale style novel. So after something like that, why would you even bother trying to follow it up? All right, specs and stats for Battle Royale. It was finished in 1996, first published in 1999. It has been adapted to manga and also to film, which also has a sequel. I've seen both of those, and like most film adaptations, it is not nearly as good as the book. I did listen to a large portion of this book on Audible, where it's narrated by Mark Dacascos for 19 hours and 29 minutes. Okay, style. It's a Japanese dystopian novel, also a psychological horror novel, I think. And I don't know that slasher is a genre for books. Definitely it is for films. But if it is a genre for books, I think this is definitely a slasher style novel. All right, on to the plot. Imagine a world where the Allies did not win World War II. So now you have the fictional fascist Republic of the Greater East Asia, and it controls and monitors all aspects of Japanese civilians' lives. They instituted a military program called Battle Experiment Number 68, where 50 junior high classes are kidnapped, isolated, and forced to kill each other until only one student from each class remains. In Battle Royale, we mainly follow two characters, Shuya and Noriko, as they try and survive the game and remain true to themselves by pretty much not participating in the game. We also follow Shogo, who joins with Shuya and Noriko, though they don't really know much about him as he is a late transfer into their class. Okay, let's talk about what happens to this class specifically, and that's what happens to pretty much all the classes that end up in the program. On their way to a field trip, they are gassed and become unconscious, and they wake up in a school, in a classroom, on an island that has been evacuated by the military. They're now wearing collars that contain explosives and give their location to those who are administering the program. And they also, unbeknownst to the students, they also transmit audio to those who are watching them. The teacher Sakamochi, he is the facilitator for their program this time, and he explains to them the rules. First of all, they're in the program. If at any time 24 hours goes by and nobody is killed, then they all die. They will all be given a survival packet with one weapon. After they explain the rules, they will leave the classroom one at a time, 2 minutes apart. And as soon as they are out of the school, the game begins. They will have a map and a compass, and the island has been divided into zones. And over time, different zones are going to be designated forbidden zones. And if you are caught in the forbidden zone, you will be killed. If you try and escape the island, you will be killed. If you try to remove the collar, you will be killed. Once you leave the school itself becomes a forbidden zone. And if you try to come back to it or attack it, you will be killed. There's a 3-day time limit to the game. So if there's no winner by the end of the 3 days, you will all be killed. And the game, it starts with 42 students, 21 males and 21 females. And some of the students take to the game right away, like a fish to water. Some of them reluctantly play, and some refuse altogether to play. Okay, on to my thoughts about Battle Royale. And overall, I really enjoyed this read. I think if you enjoyed the Hunger Games, you are going to enjoy Battle Royale, though it is more violent. It is like next level violent compared to the Hunger Games series. It has violence throughout, a bit of a sexy edge occasionally, and it has alcohol and smoking, and all by like 9th grade students. I do like the fast pace of the novel. We get to it almost right away, and it's unrelenting start to finish, bam, bam, bam. And I do like the characters, mostly. While we focus on Shuya and Noriko, we do flash around to all the other characters as they're going about trying to survive one way or the other the game. And usually in each chapter there's also a flashback to flesh out the other characters, and that just makes us more vested in the story and with them before they die. I did have a feeling, however, as I was reading it, that most of the boy characters, they're kind of the same person, just different sides of the same person. I also felt as I was reading it that they didn't actually act like they were 9th grade students. I feel like if the initial group had been a group of business people who had been kidnapped and put into the game, they would have acted exactly the same way. I will make allowances for shades of meaning or intent that's lost in translation, and cultural differences. I get that these things can affect the reading experience in English versus reading it in Japanese. I definitely think it's an interesting psychological study that I think could take on the great psychological novels. I mean, dare I say that I think Takami's novel rivals those of Dostoevsky and Tolstoy. Honestly, I think so, and I recognize what a bold statement that is. I think the study of how a person would act in this situation, it is fascinating. It's thought-provoking. I have spent time thinking, how would I act if I was placed in this situation? Like, do I have the killer in me? Would it get easier each time? Or would it get more difficult or even impossible? Even would I be willing to sacrifice myself for somebody else? And another way to look at this is from a teenager's perspective. Is this what it's like to live in this world today as a teenager? Cutthroat, vicious, and violent. You can draw your own parallels. But either way you take it, a violent dystopian novel or a teenage allegory, it is a banger of a read and should be on your shelf. I would be interested to know, have you read any 3 of these books? What are your thoughts on them? I have not actually read The Long Walk. I just bought it when I read Takami's commentary at the end of the novel, and he said he was influenced by that. And I thought, man, all of Stephen King's novels back when I was a late teenager, but somehow I missed The Long Walk. I haven't read it yet. I'm going to get to it and get that review done as soon as I can. But if you've read any of these and your thoughts, man, I'd love to hear what you think about it. Or have you watched the movies? Also, love to know what your thoughts on that are. Today I'm drinking Hibiki. Why? Because this is a Japanese whiskey. I did have to go buy this bottle specifically for this review because all my Japanese whiskeys, when my house flooded during Hurricane Helene, I lost all my Japanese whiskeys. So, you know, I do enjoy this bottle. I'm not really going to review it here. I'm just going to do my little cheers with it. But if you were wondering why is there whiskey in here, again, I do whiskey and book reviews. And I do think this is a pretty great bottle. And so if you ever have a chance to have a pour of it, I think you should. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe to see more of my content. Again, I do book and whiskey reviews. But for now, my friends, you know what to do. I hope you're reading something good and drinking something great. And wear that damn hat. Cheers.